Good morning, everybody. So I have been asked a few questions over my time here on YouTube on this channel, and so I figured it was time to make a little bit of a Q&A video. I've got a few questions from different YouTube videos that I've made that I have answered in comments, but figured I'd sort of incorporate into one Q&A video, and then a couple of people have asked me a couple things on Instagram as well. So in any case, I've got some things here that seem to be pretty common questions, and I thought I would just tackle them all together here and sort of put them in one place in case there's anything that you're wondering about with my reselling business and just sort of how that all works. So I've got my list of questions here in front of me. I'll just go ahead and get started. The first question that comes up a lot is, do I cross list, or how do I cross list, and do I use a tool to do so? So I know there are definitely some good cross-listing tools for US sellers. I don't know that there's as many options here in Canada, but I know about Posher VA, I know about List Perfectly. I don't know if they're available to me, but personally, because I only use the two platforms, eBay and Poshmark, I don't worry about it at all. So what I do to cross-list is I make my listing in eBay because that is the one that demands the most information. I'm going to be, listing in eBay anyway. And so I do that. And as soon as that is listed, I just copy paste my title and my description over to Poshmark. So really the only thing I need to do is just switch over to the Poshmark app. I do everything from my phone as well. So switch over to the Poshmark app, add the photos in, copy paste the title and the description, fill out the couple of quick things like, what's the category, what's your price, stuff like that. So typically, from the time I make my eBay listing, which could vary in time depending on, any research I need to do or how much info I need to put in there, it really only adds maybe another 2 minutes to then switch over and put it on Poshmark. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's even less than a minute. But yeah, so that's how I do that. For me, I don't think it's really worth it, the amount of time that I could save if I was just using those two platforms. If I ever got on Mercari, which I don't think is available in Canada yet, or others, then maybe, but yeah, it's not worth it to me. All right, next question that I got is, what size clothing sells best for men's and women? And yeah, definitely the larger sizes. I would have to look at the data, but I'm willing to bet, and the data would be partially skewed because I mostly pick up bigger sizes, but I'm willing to bet that bigger sizes, say large and up, or, like a men's pants, like 38 and up or something like that, they probably outsell smaller sizes in that by about 3 to 1, I'd say, maybe even 4 to 1. But definitely, it depends on brand, it depends on style and things like that. But a lot of things in XL or plus sizes for women sell way better, just way better. So try to stick to that. The only time I'll get really small sizes is if it's just a brand that it's definitely going to pull through and sell. I'll typically not grab just random small items. I still look because you never know when you're going to find that gem. So I will still look in my thrift store and skim through, maybe I'll find something cool new with tags, but typically stick to the bigger sizes. All right, so is there a method to my pricing? So someone pointed out that it seems like on eBay, all of my items end in 78 cents or 81 cents or something like that, and why do I do that? Is it something with the algorithm, or what's the case? So last year, in the fall, I started marking everything or listing everything on eBay with 87 cents to end it off. And I just figured that that was a good number psychologically. It was, obviously if something's $1.87, it looks way lower than $2. That's, a proven sales tactic and psychological thing. People see that and they think that is definitely cheaper. So yeah, psychologically it's that. But then also, what I started doing in the new year was, and I got this idea from Kaylee Lane, is all my listings in January I ended with 84 cents, all of my listings in February 81 cents, and now all of my listings in March in 78 cents, and I'll keep dropping it by 3 cents. And that lets me know quickly, if I get an offer or something like that and I need to make a decision, it lets me know quickly how long that item has been listed, essentially. So I know, like, if I'm seeing something that's, ending, maybe $24.87, and someone's sending me an offer on it, I'm probably going to accept a little bit lower offer on that because I know that that was from 2022. So that's over 3 months old now, or I guess about 3 months old now, at least. So yeah, it's just a way for me to know how old something is, and I'll just keep going down like that. And then every now and then, maybe once a month or every 45 days or something like that, I'll go in and mark all of my oldest listings that are over 180 days old, so over 6 months old. I'll go in and add and change those to end in 80, so I know they're a half a year old, essentially. I don't stay on that too much because, I mean, I'm moving my older items, and I can kind of tell from the backdrop of most of those photos if they're really old. But yeah, anyway, that is the method to the madness. Next question, how active are you in sharing on Poshmark? So when I started out, I absolutely despised it. As a kind of rule, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just not even partake in this. It was just a stand of defiance. Like, I'm not going on there and just sharing crap all day long. Like, I don't want to do that. That's a waste of my time. I just want to sell things. The reality is, though, most people, and the default search, I believe, is, shared or just in or something like that. So obviously sharing and having newer items, having your own items shared and having them cycling through the feed is very important. But sharing other people's stuff doesn't actually seem to do a lot other than just build your own presence, I guess. So anyway, personally, I don't go in and share much, but I do use a tool that is safe to use, and it's Posh Sidekick, and I just started using it in early February. And I got the idea from Tabs McCaffrey here, another Canadian reseller on YouTube, and it is about $40 a month Canadian. But it will go in, and there's just tons of stuff. I'm not even going to bother making a video about it. You can go check out Tab's video. I mean, she's talked about it a few times. It'd be easy enough. Just search Tab's Posh Sidekick. I'm sure it'll come up. But anyway, it auto shares a certain amount per day. It automatically sends out 10% offers with discounted shipping to likers after a certain interval. It handles a lot of business for me, so I don't miss that $40 a month because I know that I'm getting more than, those extra 2 sales or whatever it is that's making up for that cost every month. So yeah, I do share a lot. It's just not actually me doing it. So someone asked me if I can give a breakdown, a profit breakdown on, just an example sale. So like a $35 sale, for example, what's my profit margin on that for clothing, that is, and then, what's kind of the minimum amount I'd want to sell something to make a profit. So obviously, disclaimer, this is going to completely depend on what you can source items for and what your business model is. But for me personally, my average buy cost, and I actually looked it up right before this video, my average buy cost for anything that I've sold already in 2023 is $6.42. So that's Canadian money, so that's like what? Probably $4.75 or $5 US, somewhere in that range. And so that's about my average buy cost after taxes. So just using the example of $6.50 as a buy cost, if I have a $35 sale, I can assume about 20% fees. That's what Poshmark's going to take. It might be a little bit less than that on eBay, although I promote my listings over there. So, we'll just call it 20%. At $35 sale, that's $7 in fees. So now you're at $28. Back out that $6.50 buy cost, you're at $21.50. So that's actually my net profit, unless for some reason I'm shipping that out for free. And then in which case, if it's a small enough item, it can go letter mail untracked here in Canada. Maybe I'm out another $4 or $5. But typically, my net profit on a $35 clothing sale where the shipper or the buyer is paying shipping is about $21.50. So that's pretty damn good. As for the minimum that I'd want to sell something at, using that same model on an item that I paid that $6.50 for, I mean, a $20 sale only nets me $9.50 in profit. So that's still good. It's still almost $10 in net profit. But if I'm putting up $6.50 to basically turn that into $16, that's good, but it's not what I want to do all the time. So there are a select few items, like I'll pick something up if I know it's going to move quickly for $20, $25, but I typically want to be above that $25 range for sales. My average buy cost for the year so far, I think, is around about $33 to $35 on eBay, and that's where I'd want to be. But okay, so that was a little bit long-winded, a little bit numbery. Hopefully that one didn't bore you to death. Do I sell all items on both eBay and Poshmark? Why or why not? As far as clothing goes, yes, I sell every clothing item on eBay and Poshmark. Last year in October when I started Poshmark, I didn't bring all items over and cross-list to Poshmark. I didn't bother with like really cheap stuff that I just shouldn't have had in my inventory anyway, because I just know that no one's going to buy it on Poshmark and pay the $13.50 shipping on top of it. They're all like cheap items that I was planning to ship for free anyway. So I didn't bother with that. The only other exceptions would be like anything not clothing or not like, like bags and accessories and stuff I do, or like footwear I do, but I don't bring over, my video games or hard goods or things like that on Poshmark, even though you can sell them over there. But I just feel like Poshmark for me is a clothing closet. It's where I make, good money, good margins selling clothing, and I want to keep that separate. I could technically, I guess, make a second account for all the hard goods and stuff, but I find that stuff sells better or sells really well on eBay anyway, so I don't really feel the need to cross-list that. So speaking of, listing on both, people have asked my average listings, like how many listings do I usually have on eBay and Poshmark. So as of filming this right now, today I'm filming it, it is March 26th, 2023. It's a Sunday, and I have 814 active listings on eBay. Now, some of those are kind of old, crummy, hard goods listings that, while it's definitely clearing out, that's not all clothing. I'd say that's probably a good 700 clothing items. And then the other 114 are probably like various hard goods and miscellaneous stuff. On Poshmark, I have 791 total listings, but that does include sold listings. So anything that sells on Poshmark, you can't go in and delete that listing. It's really is a pain, but whatever. It is what it is. So if something sells on eBay, I go in and I delete it out of Poshmark. But if something sells on Poshmark, yeah, I can go and delete it off of eBay, but the listing remains on Poshmark. So that total listings on Poshmark number isn't actually really accurate as to what's active. Okay, something a little bit different. Someone has asked me, and this was in response to a short I put up about a Dolce & Gabbana pair of jeans that I found. How do I authenticate high-end items? Well, obviously, now that's a good question. I want to be very careful about these kinds of things because I don't want to get caught selling a fake, and when I don't, realize that I am. Obviously, that's not what I want to do and have issues and all that kind of stuff. With eBay especially, like they are really, really on top of that stuff. I do not list something high-end unless I know for sure by researching tags. I will look online and, that's the thing. We are in the age of instant information. So ignorance is a choice, or at least, getting misinformed is almost a choice at this point because we have lots of good resources online. And a quick Google search, don't just look at the first listing, the first site that comes up. Like I will check like 4, 5, 6, 7 sources, as many as it takes for me to feel comfortable that like, okay, this is a legit tag, the stitching is good, all of the things. And if I'm not 100% sure, then I'm not going to list that item. I currently have a New With Tags Burberry jacket at home, like a Burberry coat, like a short trench sort of pea coat type thing, that if it's real is probably a $500 to $600 Canadian sale. But I haven't listed it yet because I'm not sure about the label, and I've looked it up, and I think it's real, but there's also like maybe a 10% chance that it's not, and I just don't feel comfortable. And I know that in the US, you've got things like you can send into the Real or whatever it is. I don't know about any of those things that I could do in Canada. I really don't have any idea like what I could actually do here, if there are those kinds of options. So I'm gonna just take more time just looking that item up, and if I don't feel comfortable that it is 100% authentic, then I'm not going to post it, and it sucks because it could be about a $500 sale, but it could be even worse if, it is a fake and then somebody like figures that out or realizes it, makes the claim, especially through eBay, whatever else, and like I don't want that strike on my account. Anyway, long-winded answer to a great question. All right, next up, a little bit different here. Do I ever do free shipping? So yeah, I did allude to that a little bit earlier. I will do free shipping only in Canada and only on items that will actually fit letter mail, which means it must be under 2 centimeters thick, which is 0.8 inches thick, and it has to be under 500 grams, which is just over a pound. So things like t-shirts or, polos or things, or even like shorts or thinner material pants, I can squeeze those in a little bit sometimes. But when I say that I offer free shipping and letter mail in Canada, because that's an untracked option, I will also offer a tracked parcel rate. So I'm offering the free, cheaper option, obviously, that's untracked, and I'm also offering the tracked, so the buyer has the choice at checkout. And I make sure that I put this in every description of every listing, and eBay has backed me on this a couple of times, where I very clearly say, hey, for shipping, it's going to automatically default to your cheapest option, but you have the choice at checkout. If you choose an untracked option to save money, then you are assuming risk in the event that your item goes missing. Now, to help make them feel better, I will take a photo of the item at the post office after they've stamped it, the date stamp is there. It's obviously being mailed as proof of that I've done my part. And then it goes out, and if they claim that it never arrives to them, then they have assumed that risk. That is a contract that they have entered into. And eBay has backed me up on that twice, like I said. So yes, I will offer free shipping on, items that are like less than $50, we'll say. And I'll put that in there, but the buyer also has the option of choosing a tracked, which costs more money. I mean, it's just the way that it is. But they've got those options. Now with the free shipping, I mean, it's free, but it's not really free because I'm kind of building that into my price a little bit. Typically, I don't find it really makes much of a difference. If I sell something for $20 plus $5 shipping, or I just list it at $25 with free shipping, I have experimented with that, and I really have found no difference at all, no noticeable difference as to how quickly things sell. Like, I know people are like, oh, people love free shipping, or people, search by lowest price. Like, I don't see any difference. All right, what do you do with old inventory? How long do you keep it, or how low will you discount it before donating it back or discarding? So this is a good question. So I have some old inventory. A lot of it has cleared out by just doing closet clear out on Poshmark, or just putting sales on eBay, like 30% off sales, all old stock, things like that. I do have a few items left that are from last year, approaching a year old, and I've got them on deep discount on eBay, and I've got them, you know, as low as I can basically go and still make it worth selling on Poshmark. And, you know, I've cleared out a bunch of it, and I'll let it kind of go just to see if I can get my money back for those items. But the reality is, you know, if it's going to cost me, because I'm also thinking of my time. Like if I need to really just hold on to an item for like 6 months to a year and just hopefully get my money back, and or maybe even lose $1, like I don't care. You know, my average buy cost is like $6.50, but some of these older items are items that I got at other thrift stores where I picked it up for $1 or $2 because it's like, okay, well, it's cheap, I'm sure it'll sell, and then maybe it didn't, right? So at that point in time, like at this point, that money's gone. Like I really don't care, and I'm not going to hold on to an item for another year to hopefully make my $3 back. Like that's gonna go. So at the beginning of the year when I started my new inventory system, I did pull probably a good 50 items, and just it went in a bag for donations. I'm not messing around. Like I don't care, and I don't want to like get caught up in that sunk cost fallacy, you know, where you keep trying to chase that money back. And you know, a lot of people, this happens like with gambling and stuff. People are like, all right, well, I'm already in for like, you know, this much, so what's another this amount to try to get, you know, that next big pot back or something like that. If you're playing poker, who knows? Just an example. But yeah, like I don't care about any of that. So with old inventory, basically my business model is, I mean, I've refocused and really focused on the clothing, and, you know, been getting much better as I go, obviously. I'm still pretty new to this, but my business model now is I want it to sell within 90 days. If it's not going to sell within 90 days, it needs to be a higher end item that's worth keeping. And, you know, I realize that, like, some things are seasonal, so I'm going to keep things longer. I've got some winter items that now we're in March, you know, they're not going to go this year. I'm not going to just discard them because I know they're good quality items. I'll store them again until the fall and until through the next season. Like, I've put some of that stuff on discount. It hasn't sold. That's fine. We'll try it again when the season comes again. But otherwise, I'm not holding on to things to try to make a couple dollars back or whatever, and it's going to go. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. All right, last question, which is kind of like a multi-part question, and I've added a little bit in here that wasn't really asked, but I think it kind of goes along with it, is how many hours do I typically spend on reselling per week? So this is going to depend greatly on how many times I'm going out sourcing and how much I'm getting in the run of a week. Right now, as we speak, I haven't done any sourcing this week because we did a bunch in advance of me going on a couple of like pet sitting jobs. Like, so that's another side hustle. The average week, we're gonna go out and source probably twice, you know, maybe a shorter one in the evening one week or one night through the week, and then one day on the weekend. So that's the average, but yeah, I might not do any sourcing in a week because I've got all of my photos backed up, ready to go, and I'm just listing every day with things like we've already planned out the drops, and I know what I'm listing for the next 12 days, and I've got it on my phone already. But, okay, not the point and not really the question. How many hours do I typically spend on reselling? So on average, I'm probably doing 4 to 6 hours worth of sourcing. It's probably taking me 4 to 6 hours to like organize and photograph everything, and then as part of the photographing process, weighing it, putting it into its numbered bag and box, and having that information as well, so that when I list it later, I've already got all of that info, so it's already skewed and in inventory. Probably throughout the week, another 3 to 4 hours of listing. You know, let's say I'm doing 5 to 10 items a day. Maybe it's not even that much. Maybe it's only like 5 items a day. You know, like, it's still, I like to put very detailed listings. I like to put as much info as I can. I like to do a lot of good research beforehand because I want items to move. So, you know, I do take my time on that. So yeah, probably another 3 or 4 hours of listing, and then probably another 3 or 4 hours of pulling orders and packing them and taking them and actually shipping them out. So overall, that's about 14 to 20 hours a week. Now, keep in mind, I do have a full-time job. I have a full-time Monday to Friday salaried position. I work 8 to 4:30 Monday to Friday with weekends off. So when I'm doing things for reselling during the week, I get up at like 5:30 most mornings. So I've got time in the morning to either go pull orders, be drafting, be listing, doing some of those things. And then, actually I've got the post office really close to me, so I can go on my lunch break. And then the weekends is where I do the bulk of that. So if we go out and do a really big haul on a weekend, on a Saturday, then Sunday is like getting all of that just taken care of so that I've got the stuff for the week coming up. But yeah, 14 to 20 hours depending on the week, but probably averaging, 16 to 18 hours. I'll say 18 hours because I don't want to short it. But so if I do, all right, so this is where I've added in. So the last few weeks, I've had a little bit of a down week, but I mean, the last few weeks I've been averaging somewhere around like $800 in sales for the last few weeks. So if I do an $800 sales week at 18 hours that I put in, that is $44.44 per hour on my gross earnings. That's not what I actually net, but so over $44 earned per hour. That's pretty good. If I take my year-to-date average margin so far on just clothing, which is 52.6%, if I take that year-to-date average and I apply that to an $800 sales week, then I'm netting about $421, so $420.80. And that works out clear net profit after everything, all fees, etc., that I'm earning a net of $23.38 per hour. So, I mean, to me, that's great, to actually clear that after deductions from any regular job, you would probably need to be earning about $32 to $35 an hour. There's not a lot of those jobs here in Nova Scotia, that's for sure. So keeping in mind that I'm in rural Nova Scotia, $23.38 clear per hour is pretty damn good. So that's definitely helping to pay some bills. And yeah, I mean, that's just, it's good. It's good money. For me, that clear per hour, if it's over $20, I'm very happy with that. For example, if I go walk a dog for an hour, I'm usually charging $25 an hour, depending on if I have to, travel anyways, I'll add that in, but we'll call it $20 an hour if it's somebody in the neighborhood that I'm walking their dog. But then I also need to go out and walk for an hour, so to do $23.38 for essentially going out shopping and then doing some stuff at home, like it is, not to say that I don't like walking and I don't like dogs, I do, but this is enjoyable. Like I like this merchant thing, I've always, little running joke that Jamie and I have had for years and years is that like I'm Merchant John, like I just love setting up shop and doing this kind of thing. So it's an enjoyable amount of money coming in. That's the cool thing. I enjoy the process. And if you don't like this kind of thing, if this is not fun for you, then I don't know, maybe that number needs to be higher, but for me, that's good for me. Okay. So that was a few questions, I think 10 or 11 questions. Yeah, let me know what you think down below. If you have any other questions you'd like me to answer, by all means, leave them in the comments down below, or anything else you want me to expand on. Really appreciate all the support on this channel so far. Just started it in the new year. Here we are only 3 months later, and we're up to 150 some subs, getting good watch time, getting good engagement, people coming back and watching a lot, and I just really appreciate it. It's fun for me. It's not hard for me to make these videos. So I like sharing the process, and hopefully you find it helpful. But all right, thanks very much once again, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.